Morning. There was something that I actually kind of concluded over the last month, and that was there was a reason why when I first moved here, it seemed as though I wasn't happy. I even had people asking me, "Are you happy?" And why wouldn't I be? And I think that's kind of why people are asking, like, why wouldn't you be? However, I realized that I'm having to kind of soothe a little bit of a mourning that's happening. Um, it's when you have a dream of something else and your new situation eliminates the possibility of ever realizing that dream. Um, I always dreamed of moving to Kentucky, and by moving here into what is definitely a permanent move, I realized my dream of moving to Kentucky is never going to be realized. Never. And I guess I didn't realize how much that was going to affect me. To say that it even presented as a mild depression. I think depression would be the wrong word, but I realized I was like mourning the loss of that dream. And I'm the one that said, you know, if you find a place in Delaware, I'll go. Like it wasn't like I stomped my feet and held my breath and said, hell no, I won't go. I suggested, you know, expand your search. If you find something in Delaware, I'll go to Delaware. Because coming here was much more practical for the retirement situation, not only financially because of the way Delaware is with your retirement, but also because my husband doesn't actually retire for a couple more years, so he's doing a commute. So it makes more sense that he would commute to Delaware and not Kentucky. I get that too. But it also made more sense, and like I was thinking in the long term, made more sense for him to be here than Kentucky because he has friends and family that had just recently bought in Delaware as well. So that was my inspiration to throw that out there. I guess there was a part of me that didn't maybe believe that we would find something. I think in a curiosity search when his one friend bought out here, that I thought, let's see what Delaware. Like I always knew Delaware to be the Delaware Memorial Bridge. I knew nothing about Delaware at all, and so I looked, and when I looked, I kind of saw things kind of out of price range and thought, well, for what I actually would need, like my minimum requirement, I'm not going to find that in Delaware in our price range. So I kind of settled on we're definitely going to go to Kentucky. Even at one point, it was suggested that we look in Virginia to bring us a little bit closer to the Delaware so that, the family can still see each other more frequently. And I had always wanted to go back to Virginia. Moving to Virginia from Connecticut was one of the greatest things that had ever happened to me. It really gave me my own identity, having moved out of where everybody knew you, but not just you, but your family. And when I moved to Virginia, it was just my mother and myself. My whole family wasn't known there. There was no shadow. And it was an opportunity to really discover myself and to know that my relationships with other people were of my own doing, not because of connection to somebody else. I always thought I'd want to go back to Virginia. So I guess that's one, like Kentucky, that was one inspired dream that was never realized. But when it was suggested that we look, absolutely nothing inspired me to look. I would deliberately look, and it would be like trying to watch a TV program that's just not interesting, or trying to read a book that's just not interesting. And I would probably spend 10 minutes and find myself so disinterested that I just would stop looking, and which was very surprising to me. So there was something keeping me from wanting to find something in Virginia, although it was finally being offered to me. So I really do believe that my lack of, or what seems like my lack of love for my place, which seems to baffle people, um, is nothing to do with the absolute beauty of the farm, the absolute beauty of the area. It has nothing to do with any of that. I'm coming out of it now, and I realize that because I'm finding more and more things that I'm genuinely liking about being here. But I can honestly say I was not feeling it. I was not feeling it. And it was coming across like I was, I don't want to say coming across like I was some kind of spoiled brat or something or whatever, but I think it was making me feel like that's what people were thinking. And it's not how I wasn't like, oh, this isn't enough for me. Not at all. In fact, part of the reason that I found myself maybe having a hard time also is I'd never been mistreated for things that I had. It just wasn't like something I ever was experienced with. And like I would find that somebody that was very friendly to me when they first met me were very friendly, very like we're going to be friends kind of thing, right up until they learned my address. And then night and day. Like an example of a coworker, he was telling me all about wanting to buy, I think 2 acres or something. He wanted to get himself some land, and my address came into the conversation, and this was somebody who was friendly and, very outgoing, and smiles and waves and the whole 9 yards. We were on the same job site, and he left to go dump, looked up my address, Googled my address, and then the next time he passed me, which I'm telling you, we were on site, so we didn't even leave each other. Like, we're 5 minutes apart, like we pass each other every 5 minutes. Didn't even look at me again. Never understood that. Like, it's not something I'm familiar with. It's not something I've ever been exposed to. So I found it really disheartening, and felt very unwelcomed all of a sudden. And then I had run into another person who was like wanting to appraise me, and then another person made a comment about how I don't really need my paycheck, and just weird. No reason for those conversations to be being had, and yet they were, and it was really making me uncomfortable and really making the move feel even more like a mistake. I don't think my home is a mistake. I don't think my farm is a mistake. There's so many things about my farm that I love. I love the abundance of birds. I love the breed of birds, if that's what you would call them. I love the types of birds. Mockingbird is absolutely my favorite bird, and I have an abundance of mockingbirds. Cardinals are a representation of my mother's passing, in the sense that it's a connection to my mother. Nice. I think as a bicycle, you're still supposed to obey traffic laws. But I guess that stop sign wasn't really in your way. The pond, I love my pond. I love my island. I love all the turtles. I've found crayfish. frogs, all different colors, all different noises. I love everything about my place, but it's not Kentucky, and that's just kept happening to me. But it's not Kentucky. It's not where I dreamed of going. It's not. It's not what I thought I was going to be doing. And I started really appreciating the land more in the last month, like the surrounding land. I didn't know Delaware was a farmland. That was a huge surprise, and love it. And what I love about it is the same thing I love about sycamore trees, is that it's constantly changing, constantly changing. And I love that it's constantly changing. And then I even said to myself and told my husband like 2 weeks ago, I realized that in Kentucky, yeah, we would see some magnificent farms, long fence lines, magnificent facilities and farms and things to look at, but yet they wouldn't be changing. It would be the same farm every time I drove by it, be the same fence line every time I drove by it. Maybe the horses would be, scattered differently, but it would be the same facility, farm, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know that would have ever gotten old for me. However, it wouldn't have always been interesting. When I'm driving down the roads right now, the corn is like knee to hip high in most fields. What's this farmer going to plant this year that he didn't plant last year? Watching the equipment move around, watching the different things, and I'm realizing that, you know what? Yeah, I'm equating it with my sycamore tree that's always changing. Yeah, I'm learning to find reason that I really like it here. And nobody pushed me to not mourn my Kentucky loss. Nobody said I'm wrong. But I did feel guilty that I was seemingly dissatisfied. And I didn't mean to be dissatisfied. I didn't really realize what was happening. I just kept telling my husband, it hasn't hit me yet, it hasn't hit me yet. He'd be like, what do you mean it hasn't hit you? Like, it bothered him. And it really wasn't that it hadn't hit me yet. I hadn't been able to let go of Kentucky yet. And not even like let go, hold my breath and stomp my feet and cross my arms, let go. I hadn't been able to process the loss of that dream. And it's, it's a loss. I mean, I'm not at an age where going and realizing my Kentucky dream will ever happen now. So I like it here now. I'm traveling to different areas to work in my truck, and I'm traveling in different areas to work with horses, and I'm really starting to find my peace here too. All right. So I'm explaining. If you thought I was kind of underappreciating things, I'm not. There's an underlying reason why it might seem that way.